Hello YouTube, it's been a while since I've done a CX show. We've had a lot of races since I think my last one was before going to them myself in Kortrijk and Hulst. So let's take a whistle stop tour at the women's and the men's seasons so far as we head towards a little bit of a break until the World Championships. So as I mentioned, it's been a while since I've been here giving you the latest news on the cyclocross. We've had a lot of action since, so let's take a look in the women's season. So since Hulst and the World Cup there, it's really been the continued rise of the big three, Fem van Empel, Puck Pieterse and Shirin van Anrooy. Particularly over the Christmas period, we have seen a dominant showing from Shirin van Anrooy, especially in Mole, all the way through to today in Zonhoven. She has just taken it up a level from Puck and from Fem, to be honest. They really are the big three. They truly are. And while Brand, Betsema, Alvarado, um, the elder statesmen, I guess you'd call them, Anna Marie Verst, they do good rides, they get podiums, they get in between them. It really has been the big three show. They're all young, they all do mountain biking or road racing, and they are here to stay. They are here to stay for a very long time in women's cyclocross. Elsewhere, we have had consistent performances from Inga van der Heijden and Annick van Alphen. 777 have really upped the game this year. They may not be picking up wins, but consistency. I mean, Inga van der Heijden, for example, is fourth in the World Cup and second in the Super Prestige. So that's pretty good going. As we head into the Christmas end of the Christmas period and looking forward to the World Championships, I'm going to take you through now the standings as they currently stand and where I think some of the women can change and will Shirin and Puck ride the elite. In the X2O Bad Karma's Road Trophy, it's really turned on its head in the last couple of races. Herentals, Denise Betsema punctured on the first lap well away from the pits and lost pretty much her whole lead. So Lucinda Brand leads from 49 seconds over Fem van Empel, who amazingly, despite not targeting the competition, is still with a chance of winning. Celinda Carmen Alvarado will probably be Brand's biggest threat, 1 minute 17 behind, and she is in good form after taking the Super Prestige in Hulst on Saturday. On to the Super Prestige, and Celinda Carmen Alvarado, with that win, extended her lead to 95 points. Inga van der Heijden, as I said, with her consistency, second with 91, and Denise Betsema with 89 in third. So it's still pretty close. In the World Cup, it's a two-horse race. Two of the big three are really targeting the competition. Fem van Empel leads with 355 points, but it is closing. She's had a few races like Val de Soleil where she didn't finish, and other races where she's finished below expectations, and that means that Puck Pieterse only has a 35-point lead to close, and that's a win, 50 points, and a low placing for Fem. Or in the other way round, it's a good win for Fem, not for Puck, and she wins outright. Shirin van Anrooy is a distant third in 239 points. let's take a look now what I think each rider needs to do going into the World Championships. The first big hurdle we need to cross is whether Puck Pieterse and Shirin Van Anrooy will stick to their plan and go to the Under-23 World Championships in Hoogerheide. I think Puck possibly will. I don't think Shirin Van Anrooy will. She was very keen to say yes, she was going to do Under-23, but after her win in Zonhoven, she started to question that. Apparently, even during the race. So I expect she will race the elites. Puck, I'm not sure. I'm hoping she does, so we get to see the first big battle of the big three at the Worlds, and hopefully they all get there in good form. Elsewhere, Brand, her aim now is the X2O and the Worlds. Alvarado will be the Super Prestige. Fem will be that World Championships and the World Cup. Elsewhere, Marianne Vos, I think in the mud, in the fields at least, I think she's beginning to show her age, especially against the younger three. And I'm thinking we're probably not going to see her at her best, at her peak in the mud again. Still think she'll be very strong on the road, however. On to the men now, and pretty much since Hulst, we've had a 2 to 3 men showing with their equivalent of the big three, although it's probably the big 2.675 because I don't think Pidcock is quite there on some of the courses. Anyway, we have clearly seen, particularly over the Christmas period, a dominant and momentum showing form of Wout van Aert. Whether it be in Mole, whether it be in Zolder, although that was partly because of a mistake from Van der Poel, or whether it be in Koksijde and Zonhoven over this few days. Wout van Aert has truly shown that leading into the Christmas period was perfect preparation for that time. And he said he was going to be at his best then, and he is. Training camp for him probably didn't come at a good time, simply because momentum is big in sport. He has all the momentum by dominantly winning, dominantly showing his strength. Training camp could, it probably won't, but it could unravel that. Mathieu van der Poel, although we have also seen him win, we saw him win in Herentals, and we saw him win in a brilliant showing and a brilliant race in Havre. Sadly, we're seeing those back injuries come back again, and it does create some doubts over whether he'll ride the World Championships in Hoogerheide. I have my views, which I'll share later on in the video, but training camp for him comes at the perfect time. It allows him to reset that back, and hopefully Benidorm, maybe another race that was rumoured, I'm not sure which one, and then hopefully for him into the World Championships, where he'll be aiming for number 5. Tom Pidcock has really started to show that he is able to compete with Van der Poel and Van Aert on multiple terrains. Previously and earlier on in the season, it was only on the hilly or the really technical courses like we saw in Boom. Although Van der Poel crashed, it would have been a really important battle for Pidcock there. In Hulst, he wasn't far away from Van der Poel. But it's really over the Christmas period. He was brilliant in Havre, although tactically got a few things wrong. He was a corner away from winning in Diegem. He should have attacked over the barriers in Loonhout, sprinted, third place, was never going to come past those two in the sprint. And sadly, his season has probably been ended by the crash in Bâle. Sadly. He was never going to do the Worlds anyway, and I think his only scheduled race after was Benidorm. But it's a shame to see his season in the cyclocross potentially end due to that. Really, really scary looking accident. Uh, Elsewhere behind the big three, we've had good showings from Swake, Van Tornau, Isabit, and Van der Haar. The ones you'd sort of expect. Uh, Coming through, we've got Niels van der Putte, who finished second in Val de Soleil, and young David Haverdings, who finished, what was it, eighth or something in one of the Christmas races. I can't remember which one. Um, it's really interesting battles below the big three, as you'll see by the standings on the flip side. Onto the men's standings in the competitions now, and we've got three different leaders, similar to the women, and we've also got the riders targeting different races. In the X2O, it's Van der Haar versus Isabet. Isabet holds a minute and a half lead over Van der Haar. Adams is in third, 6.5 minutes back. He's doing well, he's doing brilliantly, but it's between Van der Haar and Isabet. That will be probably a case of who can survive Van der Poel, who can survive Van Aert, Pidcock, and gain time. In the Super Prestige, Van der Haar leads over Michael Van Tornout. 90 points for Van der Haar, 84 points for Van Tornout, and Elie Iserbyt is in third with 83. In the World Cup, we have Laurens Sweeck with the lead, 333 points. Van Tornout is second on 309, and on 249, so distant third, we've got the Elie Iserbyt. From that, I'd say Iserbyt will target the X2O, Van Tornout and Van der Haar will focus more on the Super Prestige, Sweeck and Van Tornout will look for the World Cups. Looking ahead to the World Championships, I don't think Wout van Aert has to change much because he's the favourite for the World Championships. He'll be probably the favourite, even if Van der Poel's back injuries hadn't returned. The one thing he'll be hoping is that the momentum he's gained over the Christmas period isn't lost with a road-focused training camp. It's possible, unlikely at this level, but it's possible. Going into the Worlds, he'll have Benidorm and then the World Championships. Can't see past him winning both. Van der Poel will have to hope the opposite, and the training camp does wonders for him. It resets his back, and even though he's raced well, a few tactical or a few little silly mistakes have crept in. Hopefully he'll iron them out and come into Benidorm. If there's another race, or come into the World Championships. Personally, for me, he needs to look at the longer approach, and I would, even though the World Championships is in the Netherlands and his home turf, to get that back right to win Flanders and Roubaix, he might need to have a break, a proper break, and he may need to rest and not do the Worlds. Tom Pidcock, as we know, isn't doing the World Championships, so the battle for that third place on the podium will be between Sweeck, Iserbyt, Van Tornout and Lars van der Haar. There's no under 23 rider who I would see moving up to the world, the elites, being able to compete like Shirin and Puck in the women's. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the CX show. I'll try and be a bit quicker in posting my next one. And then also, as we head to the road season, we'll look forward to that in the coming weeks as well. Thank you, and I'll see you next time on James Talk Cycling.